Additionally, we've had some very talented composers come through the programs in Vienna and Sao Paulo that are Berklee School Music grads. And they are very keen on getting their orchestral works premiered, so I'm able to trade it within the company. In exchange, they're able to do these digital arrangements that would normally cost astronomical amounts of dollars, because they've invested tens of thousands of dollars in gear. And so they're willing just to trade with me for their, more or less worldwide success with their orchestral works, which is very difficult for classical music composers to obtain. So that being said, we'll get more into that, but at this point, I want to turn things over to Vince, who's going to talk a bit more about the story and about the show, and then we're going to segue right into the music. So,
you're going to watch Michael Polo, everybody. So, first of all, I cannot imagine a more perfect room to bring you all to Wonderland. We're already in it. Have you seen this like, foliage and the paint, and I'm loving it. I'm feeling all the vibes. So I'm Vincent Connor. I'm actually going to start to go on script because we're going to start doing this whole show right in front of your eyes, and I'm just going to start with script.
Go for it.
Thank you, first of all, for each of you for coming out, taking a moment out of your busy lives to be here, to hear a little bit about our musical. If nothing else, I promise that tonight you'll be entertained. A little bit about me. Mike asked to tell a little bit about myself. I grew up in Orlando, being inspired by Disney and my family business, which was a karaoke bar. As a young performer, I learned artistic discipline and developed a love for mainstream music. My education began at Florida State University, where I studied classical voice and music theater. I continued my education in music and directing for a master's degree and doctoral work at the University of Arizona and UMKC Conservatory. Then I began working professionally as an opera singer and director. Since then, my career has taken me all over the world. The most exotic performances being in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, for La Noche de Figaro, and just 2 weeks ago in Panama City, Panama. I am so lucky and blessed that I get to work with this guy. We are in Vienna and London every single year, and what I've learned for me as a happy individual, I've come to appreciate my career having an equal balance between performing, directing, and entrepreneurship. As a performer-director, I think it's incredibly important to be on the forefront of theater evolution. My productions typically strike a balance between modern staging and traditional performance practice, with the goal for audiences to be entertained, to comprehend innovative and powerful storytelling. Mike and I met producing Madame Butterfly, like we already talked about, and since then we've become closest family and share similar ideology in regards to the future of education. Together, we've established 2 successful music festivals and have produced over 20 productions together. Mad Hatter was born out of necessity, as we sort of previously talked about. And this past year, I've dedicated my efforts into writing the book, the script, and developing these characters, as well as stage directing the show. Now Mad Hatter has become an innovative, exhilarating, and truly unique production. It has all the elements that would make a great Broadway musical from beginning to end. Musically, it is a fusion of popular music and classicism. Tonight, with the use of previous production from the live performance of London, and we're also going to bring singers to sing for you right here, right now. So I'd like to begin by reading a synopsis geared towards marketing the show to lay a foundation for our performance here this evening. And before I do so, I would love to pass out, here's our logo, by the way. Here's Mad Hatter the Musical, everybody. Oh, thank you. So before we go to Wonderland, I want to pass out a few of these. We can maybe pass them around a little bit. Who would like one? Anybody? Yes? Thank you. Feel free. Perfect. If you wouldn't mind just passing those behind you and just passing them out. So, in this book, we go through the marketing synopsis of the show, then we also go through the program synopsis in very great detail. We also list the creative team, the bios of myself, Michael, the rest of the ensemble. And we talk really, we actually were very lucky that we actually received reviews from the audience members from the show in London. And so you can read all the reviews of people who actually saw our show. So it's a really fun thing to look at. Okay, without further ado, we also have illustrations in there. So yeah, you see like a comic version of photos from our production, as well as some sketches that we had a local artist do from my hometown, Winter Park, Florida, and sort of to help with the storytelling as we go through scene by scene. So, Mad Hatter the Musical. A prequel, vivid unveiling of the story of the Mad Hatter from the classic tale, Alice in Wonderland. Mad Hatter the Musical spotlights the untold story of Franklin Magellan as he makes his way to Wonderland. The show follows a crippled man from boyhood and all the tragic, life-changing events that lead him to becoming the famous Mad Hatter. The story introduces former dancer and wife Mary Beth, the exotic Cheshire cat Yola, and even the evil Queen of Hearts herself. Franklin, a strong-willed hatter who was dealt a horrible hand of cards in life, unexpectedly finds his way to Wonderland, where his pain vanishes and his future is filled with dance. While in Wonderland, he is enamored with his new life and is fascinated by the power of the Wonderland crystal. When accidentally sent back to reality, Franklin does whatever it takes to get back to Wonderland, but instead finds a never-ending tea party. Okay, so in our show we have a few characters. Okay, so we have Franklin Magellan, who is our Mad Hatter. Okay, we have his wife Mary Beth, who is a former dancer. We have his two children, Primrose and Philip. Okay, and then we have the three Cheshire Cat sisters, Yola, Bola, and Rolla. They are, it's sort of an ode to Cats the Musical. They are just full, and they all are different colors of pink and purple, and they're just fabulous. Then we have our hat. The hat is actually a character in our show. It's sort of a demonic presence that sort of guides him to Wonderland, and that role will actually, in the next time we do, will double as the Queen of Hearts. Okay, so the Queen of Hearts is off with your head. We all know the lovely gal. She's actually, what's really great about our show is because we both have such roots in classicism. This is actually a more operatic, legit type soprano voiced singer. And so we get to experiment with a lot of different contextual things there. And then we have, who am I missing? Character-wise. Bailey. We have, okay, so we all know the classic Tea Party, right? So from the Lewis Carroll novel, we have the famous Tea Party, which is Bailey the Field Mouse. We have the Hare, and then we have, of course, the Mad Hatter. Okay, so Bailey is actually our field mouse, who is our timekeeper of Wonderland. She actually polices Wonderland and makes sure to enforce the rules for the Queen. Okay, and that is our characters. So as we go through scene by scene, you basically have a little bit of idea of who is who. Does anybody have any questions so far? All right.
Maybe just explain that what with the TV, what we're going to do.
Aha! So we're going to go back and forth from the live performance from London, and then we're going to also do some storytelling with some of the singers in the room, such as the lovely Brianna from New York City. Can you stand up, Brianna? The wonderful Mr. Valdez. I'm going to sing a few songs. And then we have Dr. Polo students from Rowan. Okay, so take our places, students. Here we go. Our story begins with young Franklin Magellan, an eager boy who loves to dance, which was welcomed by his mother, but forbidden by his father. His father, a Mad Hatter, catches him dancing and in a moment of anger beats him, crippling him and condemning him to a life of making hats, a life where Franklin can no longer dance. Or can he? Next, the ensemble enters, all wearing hats. They act as a narrator, immediately breaking the fourth wall to tell the story of Franklin through contemporary dance and song, in the number Pelt to Felt. They describe the hatting process, how hatters use mercury to turn animal pelts into felt to make hats. The style is almost spoken, set in an up-tempo rhythm for an energetic opening. Franklin is then introduced as an adult and is seen limping through the streets of London.
Franklin.
his father's footsteps, becomes an angry, depressed hatter. After a long day's work selling nothing, he limps home with his cart and passes the old dance parlor where his mother used to teach. He is reminded of happier times and his desire to dance. He sings an opening ballad called 20 Years, where he reflects on the past and fantasizes of the future. 20 years have passed since I have last danced. It's been 20 years since my dreams disappeared and the hope I had back then. This grudge has crushed my soul. My family's almost made me whole, and I long for the chance that I will dance again, but instead I'm still making these damn hats. I'd be on my way if maybe just one day. It's been 20 years and so many tears. Yes, 20 years have passed since I have danced. Maybe I'll dance. Maybe I'll Thank you. Franklin then sourly arrives home for supper and is greeted by his wife Mary Beth and their two children, Philip and Primrose. The children go off to bed, and Franklin and Mary Beth are left to discuss the difficulties of the realities. Mary Beth diffuses his negativity by inviting him for a dance, his first dance in 20 years. Here we'll project a snippet of the uptempo quartet Papa Please, where the two children are competing for their father's attention, and Franklin clearly favors his daughter, Primrose, by telling her a story. Later in the number we will see the first glimpse of Franklin's rage towards his son, signifying Franklin's similarity to his father. This music is similar in nature to Sondheim, having multiple things happening staging-wise and musically, such as the father telling Primrose a story, the son helping the mother prepare dinner, the kids playing cat and mouse and quarreling, and then going off to bed. So here's a little bit of Papa Please from our production.
And give your sister back her doll. It's all she has.
Can you please pass a piece of bread?
Yes, little sister, here's your piece of bread. Don't you go back at your sister. Don't you say that you feel wrong. Go wash your hands and go to bed. And the prince saved the princess, and they lived happily ever after.
That's it? The story needs work, Papa.
So then they go off to bed, and then there's a romantic duet between Mary Beth and Franklin where, the scene right here that I'm about to read. Mary Beth and Franklin begin to dance and reconnect for the first time in years. After a while, Franklin's confidence exceeds his capabilities, and he collapses to the ground, shouting and blaming Mary Beth. Then he retreats angrily to his workshop. So this is a romantic duet between the two of them, and it's so heart-wrenching because they are really reconnecting again for the first time. But then he falls because of his disability, and then he gets completely angry and retreats to his workshop, which is where we begin our journey to Wonderland. So scene 5 is Franklin is visited by what he thinks is a ghost, and it leads him to his father's old hat. The voice convinces him to read aloud the inscription, "Tick-tock, watch the clock. Tick-tock, wonders unlocked. Tick-tock, now you can see. Tick-tock, the man you're meant to be." Franklin is then violently transported to Wonderland. In the Lewis Carroll novel, Alice was transported to Wonderland through a rabbit hole. In our story, an enchanted object directly from Wonderland can transport you there.
Who is there? What is the meaning of this?
Put on the hat and go.
Now is not the time to mess with me! Where are you?
Put on the hat and you will see the new from future be.
What's this? This is my father's hat. That bastard. What's this doing here?
Look inside and you will see.
What's this? Tick tock. Watch the clock. Tick tock. Wonders unlocked. Tick tock. Now you see. Tick tock. The man you're meant to be.
So that's just a little example of the violency that sort of gets him to Wonderland. Then he wakes up and he's in a setting similar to this, with beautiful mushroom heads and clouds and rainbow sand and all the wonderful things of Wonderland. And he is awakened by some strange walking, talking playing cards, who are equally confused when they meet him. He learns the rules of Wonderland and meets Bailey, the timekeeper for the Queen of Hearts. He is then escorted to the local pub called Lixer, where he meets the other Wonderlandonians, and Barry, who's another local London visitor. They reveal the wonders of Wonderland, and Franklin drinks the magical elixir for the first time, healing him so that he is no longer crippled and finally can dance again. We will now show you a clip of Welcome to Wonderland, which is a fun, uplifting English folk song, sort of similar to a jig. And then, after he's feeling the effects of the elixir, I will sing For I've Come Alive.
God will save you, but now it's hard. What can Wonderland do for you? A bit embarrassed to say. No, you've had nothing to be shy about. I haven't walked in 20 years, so I can love a dance.
Dance, dance, he wants to dance. We can make the dance of changing life and community.
Really feeling like he's in this new place, and he's starting to feel like he belongs there for the very first time. Then he sings a song For I've Come Alive, when he's truly feeling like he's a different person. He's alive for the first time. For I have come alive, my body is alive. entrance of the Cheshire Cats, which, if you read the reviews, are sort of the famous character, the most favorite characters in the show. As Franklin celebrates his newly healed body, 3 attractive Cheshire Cats enter Elixir, which is the pub. He learns that they are upper-class deliverers of the elixir, a special liquid that allows Wonderland to exist. But Franklin only has eyes for one sister, Yola. Yola is curious about the newcomer, and they dance, captivated by how different he is to all she knows. She then escorts him through Wonderland to all the power to see the powerful crystal, the power source of Wonderland. Please enjoy a live performance of In the Mood, the jazzy introduction of the Cheshire Sisters.
Oh, if you're in a mood, I might just scratch you. If you're in a mood, don't cross my way. 'Cause if you're in a mood, and I'm not in the mood, then I might just go ahead and bite you. We bring